Hello, everyone. This is your host, alexbalgood, and this is Leap of Health. And today I am so pleased to have Marieke Steen. She's a functional nutritional therapy practitioner and a master restorative wellness practitioner. Um, Thank you for being here today. I know we're on the other side of the world, each other, but thank you for connecting with us. Um, and
My
before
pleasure,
we
really. Happy to be here.
Yes, thank you, thank you. And before we start, we're going to be talking about fiber today. We know it's so important. We hear it a lot, so we're going to be talking about that. But before that, tell us a little bit about your journey. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got yourself to be a practitioner now.
Yeah, so I mean, it was probably what like it happens with most of, people who end up working in the functional medicine realm is my own story kind of led me to going back to school. So I was having a lot of digestive issues and I had migraines ever since I was 3 years old. So basically, I've had this very early on already, but I never actually knew that. I mean, I never thought that my digestion could be also linked to my migraines or, things like that. So basically, it's been something that has kind of accompanied me my whole life, and I never knew. I've always had this kind of bloated belly and I never dared to wear like a topless shirt or anything like this because of that. I always felt like fat, although I wasn't. And yeah, and then I think really when I was in my early 30s, or actually more late 30s, was when I had a lot of, now I know, accumulated stress, from work. I was just overdoing it. I was just, that busy bee in the corporate world who was just, trying to meet all the deadlines and who was just saying yes to everything and doing all too much, and then compensating that stress by over exercising. And so I did burn out, but also my digestive health. And so I was also living at actually an apartment that had mold. And I did not know that, of course. But basically, I was just getting worse and worse. And it seemed like I was removing one food after the other. I was like, okay, and it seems now I can't eat this anymore. And then I had this chronic eczema. So I looked like I had put like too much makeup on my eyes, so they were like bright red, above here. So that was really unpleasant too. And yeah, and I was just getting really gassy after food, so turning all red and feeling tired, and I was just feeling horrible. And so I started, and I was always like passionate about nutrition and exercising, being healthy, but really I didn't really know what I was doing anymore. I was just trying all these supplements, kind of randomly, and nothing actually seemed to work really. And so I was really sick of it. And I was going to all these doctors, and they were all just saying, oh, yeah, you're stressed. So one doctor actually gave me beta blockers to deal with heart palpitations and stress. And
Wow.
and and I was like, I'm not gonna take that. And then so I went to look for other doctors, more alternative. But basically, the best I got was, a little bit of relief, like, starting to work on my gut lining. That helped a little bit, but I never actually got really better. My hormones were a mess. I didn't have a period for almost a whole year. So everything was out of whack. My blood work my liver enzymes were elevated. My thyroid was, yeah, everything was crazy. And basically I was going to all these doctors, and at one point I just got so fed up. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to school and I'm gonna do this myself. And that's what I did. So I started studying with the NTA, in the Nutritional Therapy Association in the US. And that actually helped me understand a good deal about what was going on in my gut, but it was still not, let's say, good enough So I continued studying with the Restores Wellness Solutions, which is more of a functional training. So there I learned to actually, so I did basically their module is you study, but either you have clients that are willing to kind of be your test person. But in my case, I just really tested myself. So I did the stool testing and the food sensitivity testing. I did it on myself. And then with the help of my teachers, I developed my own healing protocol. And that's actually when I finally got better. My eczema was gone. And I think for the first time in my life, I actually had a flat tummy. And I was like, oh my God, what's all this? My period came back, it was great. So I just continued on, studying with them, like doing all the levels. And, also like the last level is really about autoimmune disease and mold and neurodegenerative diseases. And that's also when I kind of clicked and I was like, oh, actually, like 5 years ago or like now 6 years ago, and we did have mold in that apartment. I'm so sure because I had all these symptoms and I basically my liver enzymes and everything was basically pointing to that. But at the time, I just I didn't connect those dots. So yeah, and that's how I ended up basically being what I am today. Working in my own on my own as an independent and helping women. Work on things like mold, but it's often it's actually the hormones that get out of whack, and that kind of that or migraines, and that's how they come to me. And then it's often then you do find it's always about going back to working on the gut and working on the toxins and possibly finding mold in the house and these kind of things.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. I think it's just amazing, and it just blows my mind every time how the gut can control so many things and how dysfunctional we can get once it's like out of whack, literally. Because you started as a very young individual having headaches, and nobody really thinks about that connection on how the gut can really
No, I mean, basically they're
affect.
feeding you painkillers, which and that just makes your gut worse, right? So, I mean, you're really set up for failure from the beginning because there's no solutions other than those pain medications, which are actually really, messing up the rest of your body.
Uh-huh. Yeah, either that, it's super common, either the pen medicines or they give you some sort of antibiotic because they think you have a bug somewhere. And that also messes up the gut. And I think it's just so important to keep in mind for everybody that's listening that a lot of these Western medicine that we use just so lightly, even like over the counter sometimes, really can damage how the gut works, what the gut has inside, which is like the good bio or like the good bacteria, so if you want to think about it that way. And from
Oh.
there, like as you mentioned, it can really mess up a lot of things. You can have like crazy migraines, like your hormones get out of control too. You can have other secondary.
It has a big impact on your blood sugar as well. So,
I
you can actually get a risk of, becoming diabetic because of your gut, because
That's
there's
so crazy.
those bacteria that are producing all those endotoxins that, that stress out your nervous system and that make your body produce the cortisol, and then your blood sugar goes up, and basically you're actually eating fine, or it's not the food that you eat, but it's the inflammation in your body or that's coming from your gut or possibly from somewhere else that's basically actually driving this. So it's really crazy. But it's also about the food really that we eat. There's so many, like the pesticides, they're as bad as glyphosate has the same effect on our microbiome than antibiotics.
Mm-hmm.
So it's we're actually, with the way we live today, we have, I'm sometimes getting like devastated thinking like how you can try to avoid these things, but there's the plastics everywhere. There's all these endocrine disruptors. There's glyphosate and other pesticides. So we're basically, you know, our water quality is getting so bad. We're having all these, you know, toxins basically in our drinking water, or we have it, you know, it's not only the water we drink, but we shower, we take a bath. It's what we absorb. So we're exposed constantly to all these toxins. So we're kind of poisoning our earth and ourself, actually, unfortunately. And yeah, it's kind of a vicious circle. And I wish I would know or have the key answer on how to break it. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I think just, as for now, and as we keep on trying to find some sort of a solution for the like water, earth quality, and all these things, I think it is super helpful to just be aware that, all these outside events or things are still affecting you. But like, I feel like the more we know, or the more we are aware, I think we can definitely minimize them. We cannot stop them because they're like everywhere. Like literally, as you mentioned, there's plastic everywhere. I was reading an article where, now babies are being born with like some sort of a plastics, from the mom, and like nanoplastics and stuff like that. It's just like so crazy and so out of control. But I feel like, the more we know, the more we can take care of ourselves. And today we're going to be talking about fiber.
Yeah.
Why is What's fiber and how does it look fiber, and why is so important? Because I feel like people think of fiber and they want to just, they think about that powder that grandpa used to put on the water and they used to drink, and they're like, well, that's fiber. That probably helps, but that's really not what we're
Oh,
talking
really?
about
That's
here.
interesting. That would not actually be the first thing that comes to my mind, but yeah, I mean, fibers in different foods and mostly in like all the veggies that we eat, they're very high in fiber. And yeah, and then of course some of the grains have fiber, more of the, whole grains are high in fiber. Then there's things like flax seeds and psyllium husk that I love to use on a daily basis. So basically everything that makes bulks up in our stomach and that kind of makes us feel full. And it's also the benefit of eating fiber is that it can absorb, other things. So it can basically, in our gut, fiber can act kind of like a detoxification agent, really, in, sweeping up things or bacteria and toxins, actually, and kind of help to excrete them. So fibers and why it's so important to actually eat fiber is because those good bacteria in our gut, they feed off those indigestible fiber that come into the large colon. So they really feast on these things, and that's how they grow. So ideally, we want to have as many of these, good bugs in our gut. We want to have a happy gut, right? And so in order to keep them there, we need to feed them. It's like, having a pet at home. And you're feeding your dog, so the same you do. I mean, you may think it's gross that you're basically picturing these bacteria in your gut, but it's like, they're like your little friends in there, and they're making sure that you're digesting well and that you're not having too much bloating, that you're not constipated, and they're really helping also with, hormone detoxification and yeah, and also basically making you full, right? Because I always know when I'm traveling, I find it so hard to get enough vegetables. And it's sometimes at a restaurant when I just order like extra vegetables and then they give me a plate of potatoes. And I'm like, what the fuck? So, um, so I feel it's really depending probably also on the country, but I feel like in most countries, when you order a dish in a restaurant, you get the meat and you get your carbs, your starches, but the vegetables, they're often just a decoration because probably also most people actually don't want to eat them.
Uh-huh.
And then when you say, oh, can I have extra vegetables and not the starches, then people already look at you like you're, like a crazy person. But yeah, then sometimes all you get is basically, you know, potatoes or yeah. So it's frustrating. I always feel like my digestion also get like I'm somebody who's more prone to constipation. And when I don't eat my veggies, I know, you know, I will not be able to go to the bathroom. So I want to eat my veggies. And it's also basically, I don't know, I feel like I feel much better like eating the green stuff and, you know, eating those veggies. I enjoy eating them.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, it can be hard actually when you're traveling to actually get enough fiber, and that may impact your, you know, your sense of satiety, or, you know, if basically how much it's just also filling up your stomach, right? So you're feeling full. So it's also something that could even help people who want to lose weight, um, basically do that by just adding more fiber to their diet.
Hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people goes days without even touching a vegetable, and they don't understand that really the big impact that vegetables and maybe like legumes and even fruits, because they have also a lot of fiber.
Yes, of
Uh,
course, yes.
they have the big impact that really happens to our digestive system, right? So if you're not eating fiber, as you mentioned, you can have some sort of constipation, or it's going to be hard to go to a restroom and things like that because you're not eating enough fiber. Also, too, I felt too, as you mentioned, I think it's a great point, is that uh, eating more vegetables will also make you eat less starch and carbs. And for all those people that are always kind of like watching what they eat and everything like that, that will be an amazing and great way to actually, why you eat your proteins and your vegetables first, and then have that kind of like carbs and starches kind of
Yeah,
like at the
exactly.
end.
Yeah.
You will notice you're gonna be like, oh, I think I'm just gonna skip the potatoes or the little rice. I feel really full right now. And that's a really good way to eat in general.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Definitely. Yeah, you got it.
How are those I know we're always are told you gotta eat fruits and you gotta eat vegetables. What's the actual amount of fruits and veggies that we're supposed to be eating that people are probably not? What's the amount? What's the good amount to like you should be eating about blah 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 to this blah 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 of veggies
Yeah.
and fruits so you actually maximize your gut system the way it
Well, I
works.
recommend actually 1 to 2 cups of vegetables per meal. So three
Mm,
times per day. And about fruit, I mean, I do love fruit, but it is also very high in sugar. So I see this with many clients that um, they actually eat a lot of fruit, and they want to be healthy, and they think it's, you know, good because fruit has vitamins. And I mean, but the sad thing is that actually, you know, eating a handful of grapes is as good for your body or for your blood sugar as eating a handful of you know, jelly beans.
mm,
So of course we agree that, you know, grapes are a natural food, and you know, it's obviously a better choice to eat that because the, you know, the jelly beans will have like all the additives and chemicals and whatever. But basically the blood sugar response can be the same. So I never recommend to eat fruit on its own.
mm.
And there's other people who actually who say, yeah, but you know, you should eat fruit alone and before the meal. That's how you because it basically goes right through you, and you digest it very, very fast. And that's when, you know, you could possibly, you know, get bloating when you actually eat fruit as a dessert because
Right.
you basically just had a full meal, and then you add all these sugars on top and some acid, and then it will just, you know, really ferment in your stomach, and you will actually get like, you will not feel well. So that's why I recommend that, you know, you eat fruit as a snack, but then not alone, but, you know, have a handful of nuts with it. Then you have, you know, you have some fiber, you have some protein, you have some fat. Um, that's a better combination, and stay away from the fruit that's like very high in sugar, or not like try to get like all your fiber from, you know, those foods. So I really recommend to mainly focus on the vegetables. And, you know, as we said before, basically they make you feel full as well. So you can actually eat a lot. And I mean, vegetables, they're so high in, you know, in vitamin C and in calcium, in magnesium, in potassium. So you're basically getting all these, and unfortunately, yes, our, you know, the quality of the food that we can actually buy or, you know, consume today is not as great anymore. But it's basically, you know, everything that those plants get from the soil is also in the food itself, right? So you're getting all these vitamins and minerals, and a lot of B vitamins as well. So it's really basically feeding, you know, not only feeding the bugs in your gut, but it's also, you know, giving your body a lot of nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I think for people who are not, you know, as you say, there may be people who are actually not eating any fiber for days. So for those people, I think it's always best to slowly increase, because when you then go from, you know, not eating fiber for days, and then all of a sudden you eat, you know, all vegetables all day, you probably have like, you know, you will probably get bloated and get like digestive issues, because your stomach is like, oh my God, you know what I'm supposed to do with this? It's like, oh, I have to work so hard right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's probably better to, you know, slowly increase so that your digestive system gets used to it, and then you can, you know, and then your body can handle it.
Yeah, definitely. Not get your body in shock of like you've been eating all this crap and suddenly you're like, I'm just gonna eat vegetables now.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
do
some people are like this, right? They read something and they go like, okay, tomorrow is the day, I'm gonna do it. And then and then they feel really not well, and it's like, okay, yeah, I tried it, but it's not for me, you know. So
exactly. Definitely, that's a great point to make. When it comes to fiber and vegetables and all these, don't just, eat 5 cups of fiber of veggies after you've been eating like all these starches and meats and all this. Because yeah, as you said, your body's gonna be like, this is not good right now. And it can cause other things. So definitely if you're not used to fruits and veggies, or a big amount of veggies within your food, just start increasing them slowly. I think is kind of like the better idea to start your fiber journey here.
yeah, and
And
then
I
it's also probably paying attention to, you know, not eating too much raw, mixing it a little bit, because the cooked vegetables are easier to digest for your stomach than the raw ones. So, and you
mix
know,
that up.
yeah, so basically, you know, when you're starting out, you probably want to not go on a, you know, raw vegan diet like from one day to another. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's hilarious because you're so right. People see certain things and they're like, tomorrow, I'm gonna just go all raw diet for a month. And it could be like a big shock for your body. So definitely, I think just finding the balance of like some cooked, some raw, some a little bit of meat or protein, whatever protein you wanna get, and just kind of like eat your starch and your rice or all these kind of like at the end, just leave it at the end. So if after you're done with your veggies and your protein you're like, I still could manage a little bit more, then you could definitely eat that. But then you're gonna feel so much better because you're already ate everything that you were supposed to.
Yeah.
And it probably, because I've been trying that, and it feels like when I do that, I really don't get to like the rice or the potatoes at the end. I get like a little spoon and I'm like, oh, that was good. I'm so full right now. And then you just feel so satisfied and full with what you just ate. Are supposed to starting with like mashed potatoes or potatoes and rice or like whatever you're having like that at the beginning, then you will probably not end up eating the veggies because you're like, I'm already full. I'll leave the veggies for tomorrow. But yeah, I
Yeah, and
think
it's
that's
not actually how you feel at the moment, but it's also how you feel after the meal. Because when you're actually
yes.
having all these carbs, that's typically when people want to have when they need to sleep after, after a meal, or they feel like, oh, I'm just gonna
So
doze a little
tired.
bit on the couch, or when you had lunch, like pizza for lunch, or this big pasta dish, and then you're like, I can't concentrate. I need coffee, right? And then you're just making things worse again because you're just, continuously, pushing your blood sugar up. So
Yes.
basically, it's also a way to, feel fuller longer, by just, you can of course eat starches, but it's best to actually leave them for the end, because you have already the protein and the fat and the fiber in your stomach. So it's basically making that your blood sugar response will be much more stable after your meal.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said,
And
you will also consume less for sure.
yes, and I
Yeah.
really like that you mentioned too, because I feel like we all forget this, and it's just like a society thing that I wish we can all change. When you said that we eat the desserts at the end, I don't know where this started, but we all do it. And some of us are like, like I know my family is guilty of this. Sometimes they give you fruit at the end, and I'm like, no, don't do it, because as you mentioned, once you eat the fruits at the end of your meal, it's just really, as good as the fruits are for you, it really has this like bad effect within your digestive system. And I think we all just forget about it because it's so delicious. And we've been doing this for like our whole lives. You go, you eat, and what do they tell you at the end? Do you want some dessert? And you either have sweets or whatever, or fruit. And it's just like, if you were doing really good with your food, now it's like it went down the drain with this.
Well, I mean, as I said, like with the carbs, the same as with dessert, actually, when you have something sugary, it's also best to actually have it, after a healthy meal where so you basically have already good food in your
Well,
stomach, and
right.
then you add a little bit of sweetness on top, then it will not impact your blood sugar that as much as just having the dessert, alone, for sure. But yeah, I mean, usually I think it's a habit, or it can be psychological. I mean, I know that, as I told you, my partner is French. I mean, the
Oh,
French I like dessert is, you have to have dessert. And
that's great.
I
I love it.
I mean, I actually didn't grow up that much with it. We didn't really, like the way I grew up in my family, we would not necessarily have dessert always. I mean, it's definitely when you go to restaurants, it's always there, right? But for me, it's like really, I mean, I love drinking like an espresso or coffee, after my meal. Um, but really, when I'm full, when I'm good, I don't need anything else. So it's sometimes, it's maybe social, or it's about the habit that you always, have this. And I notice also when I'm in France, actually, the portions are smaller. So actually, you're obliged to have the appetizer and the entry and the dessert
Hmm.
almost to actually feel full, because it's made that way. And the restaurants, they all serve these three courses always. But yeah, like in other countries, it's not that. It's I mean, if I just have an entry, that's all I need, So, and I maybe not be able to finish it, and then they ask for dessert. I'm like, no, I'm okay.
Yes, I think the key too is, as you mentioned, if you are get full with your, main dish, rarely you're gonna wanna have the dessert anyways. But yeah, just to keep that in mind, that to kind of like don't have fruit at the end because it will ferment what you
Yeah.
just said.
And there's actually something that you can do to cheat a little bit with the starches is, you can turn those starches into prebiotics, fiber.
Mm,
So that makes them indigestible. So basically, when you have, potatoes or sweet potatoes or rice or even also pasta, so when you cook them, how you say that again? The starch. Yeah, I was thinking in the, so the starch is basically transforming, right? And then when you put it in the fridge, the starch is transforming again, and it actually went in a cold state. It becomes undigestible for your stomach. So basically, it will end up like that in your colon, like all the in your large colon, like those fiber from vegetables that will feed the good bacteria. So the trick is basically to eat, you can eat those foods again at like room temperature, but not to heat them up too much, so that you don't change the consistency of the starch. And that way you're actually having less of the carbs, but more of the fiber.
Yeah, it's like a nice little trick. I think they call it resistant starch or something like that. Can't
Yeah.
remember. Something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's prebiotic or fiber or resistant starch. Yeah, that's it.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I think just seeing things in our plate different will really make a big difference with how our gut works. What are some of your best or favorite vegetables that you use for like, oh, I need to get in some more fiber? What are those to go to vegetables?
That's a difficult question because I actually love all the veggies. Um, oh, yeah, I mean, I eat a lot of greens, like different salad greens and arugula, and I love broccoli. And broccoli is also really great for hormone balance because it has a sulforaphane. So I love cabbages as well. So it's same actually. So it's really good to support your hormone detox, your estrogen detox metabolism.
Mm.
Yeah, there's something I wanted to say actually that I'm not forgetting. I was just about to say something when you asked me that question, and I forgot about what I wanted to say. Right, spinach.
Mm.
So spinach is actually a vegetable that I like, also kale, but it's very high in oxalates. And
Right.
I remember when I actually, when I was at that time where I was actually feeling unwell, I was doing those smoothies in the morning with spinach and blueberries and almonds. Basically, all those foods are high in oxalates. And I was trying to, have the kind of like a gut healing smoothie, with psyllium husk. And so I was adding all this fiber as well, and healthy fats and collagen powder. So everything that's good for the gut. But the veg and I mean blueberries, I love blueberries as well. They're such a great food. But basically all these things are high in salicylic acid and oxalates, and that can actually add to inflammation, and it can create, even like, yeah, you can get like arthritis, like pain in your hands or joints, people can get kidney stones from it. So it's really, and it also depends on your genetic makeup, how well you're dealing with these things, how well and again, on your gut, because if you don't have that oxalobacter in your gut, which I don't have, that's actually there to get rid of the oxalates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then that's not helping you. So, sometimes we can also, there's all these healthy foods. Also, beets are very high in oxalates. So it's, all like healthy foods, sweet potatoes too, raspberries. They're all like, more low sugar and, kind of known like superfoods. But when we overdo it on these foods, we actually get the contrary. So although we get the fiber, yes, but we also get too much of other things that can, cause more inflammation or make us feel unwell. So that's why actually I love spinach, but I prefer like cabbages, like broccolis. That's more what I cook. And I mean, I will also add spinach too because I just like it a lot, but I will be mindful of the quantity I'm having and not eat
Mhm.
it like too often.
Yes, I
So
knew that about the spinach. I didn't know beets have are high on oxalates too.
yeah,
With these type of vegetables, does it cooking them minimize the that or not
a
really?
little bit, but not much. Yeah.
Okay. Like how will be like the so for like I love beets, so I kind of like eat them a lot. And what would your recommendation will be like for people that, like you said, people does a lot of healthy quote unquote like juices, but what will be a better way to do it or like the amount? Can we just do it like once a week if we still want to get some
Yeah, I
into
think it's really
maybe?
about the amount. I'm also eating beets. I love them and like raw beets in my salad. Also the beet greens.
Yes,
they're
they're
awesome.
delicious. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm always about like, eat everything, but don't overdo it. And then
Hmm.
I also am mindful, like when I have spinach, I will not have beets and sweet potato the same day. So that,
Oh, got it.
basically,
Yes.
don't like put all your eggs in one basket, like, spread it out over the week. One week, one day you have beets and the other day you have some spinach and then the other day you have almonds and
Yes.
but yeah, it's sometimes it's also seasonal. I think with all the berries in summer, or that some people they and I also I love raspberries, I love blueberries, and then people will just eat a lot of these foods
Like every day.
and then even like kids, it's even been linked to like ADHD and
Oh,
like
yes.
hyperactivity. So um, you think you're doing a great thing, giving your kids berries to eat, and then they are all, acting strange and being aggressive and angry and
We
so
can
yeah,
never
I mean,
win. We can never win.
yeah, I know. Well, but that's what I say, don't try to be perfect and don't like overthink it. But
Yeah.
yeah, basically don't like have all these foods at the same day.
Same time.
Chocolate is also unfortunately high in oxalates. So, I'm also having chocolate.
Oh,
So I'm having all these foods, but I'm not like, having high amounts and like uh eating them at the same
all at
time.
once.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's a good tip because like you just said all these things and I'm like, I think I just had all of them the other day on my plate. Like I think I
Well,
had
but I mean,
like
as I said, maybe it's not, but some people can get
yes.
it can cause
No,
headaches
it's
or
true.
migraines
Yes.
or these kind of things. So if you're getting them, then that may be why. But
Hmm.
it may also do nothing to you. If
Yes,
you don't
yes.
get like
Listen
any
to your
joint
body.
pain or yeah, exactly. So you don't need to over worry about something that may actually not be affecting you. As I said, I don't have that oxalobacter in my gut.
Yes.
But maybe you do like have a good abundance of it and it's helping you to actually safely excrete those things. And then you
Yeah.
can also, what I do is like you could do like Epsom salt baths or also magnesium. I usually don't recommend to take magnesium citrate because
Mm,
it's good for constipation, but it's not really a form of magnesium that's like very high absorbable.
right.
But it's actually good for helping the body to excrete oxalates. So, it's also something that you can do too. So there's always
Oh,
things that you can do to,
yes. Little
help
tips right
help
there.
yourself and your body.
Is the magnesium that you're talking about, is that the one that people usually put in water and drink it?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, the
The
citrate
the
is
one
the
that
poly.
they market it as like, if you're not feeling good, this will put you in a good mood or something like that. Is that the one
Yeah,
that
it's
we're
it's a
talking
cheap
about?
it's a cheaper form.
Yes.
It's usually, yeah. I mean, I think most of the industry has actually caught up to selling the glycinate, which is
Yes.
what's better absorbed and what's actually what I usually recommend as well. But you can still find, especially like, over the counter, like
Right.
drugstores, pharmacies, they
Uh-huh.
will probably have that stuff. Yeah.
Wow. That
Yeah.
was very interesting. And I love to because I think this is just important for the audience, whoever is listening, that certain minerals will work together with certain vitamins. So like there's these kind of like dance between sometimes the minerals and vitamins and how you eat them and how you absorb them and
Yeah.
how they can be beneficial to detox in certain things that you're eating. So I think it's great, so people really understand that, yet sometimes we want to do good, as you were doing, as I was doing, on like trying to do all these smoothies and putting all this healthy stuff, but at
Mm,
the end there end up you hurting you a lot more than helping you, especially if you overdo it. And I think that was like the main thing
yeah.
that I got from our conversation. It really, you can't overdo like eat beets 3 times a day or like every day. Just really the balance is so important, and just
Yeah.
kind of like mix up things here and there. So yeah, that was really good to just
Yeah, and I
keep
think
in
maybe
mind of
just
all
to
these things.
finalize this is, just eat the rainbow. That's what I always recommend. Like eat a little bit of everything, and try to get as many colors as possible, because all the colors will give you different nutrients, different minerals, and basically that's how you cover your bases, and like getting everything you need.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think that's just like the main thing. Eat your rainbow and don't be afraid to try different things that you have never tried, because they're gonna be super delicious, whether it's
Yes.
red cabbage or golden beets or you know chard, gold, rainbow chard, anything. Even though you see them different, and you have never tried them on your plate, definitely go out there and try new vegetables, because they all have this deliciousness with them.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, sometimes it's just about finding out how to prepare them so that you like them, right? So it's a way of cooking them. And I mean, even like my partner, he hates vegetables, but now he actually, we've been together for a while, and he actually, so I'm like not giving him the option. I'm just, making him mixed dishes where he basically, the vegetables are always there. And he's
Yes.
actually said to me like, actually I start to enjoy eating the vegetables. And he hasn't grown up with this. He's not like, his palate is not used to these things.
Mm-hmm.
So I found a way of, I know what he likes, so, and I'm making that and just adding all the veggies in it. And then he's like, yeah, okay, I can actually eat that. So
That's great.
it's also about, your palate will definitely evolve. So, if there's somebody who's listening who's like, nah, I hate veggies, and they all like, they taste like diapers, then I mean, it's about, I really would like to encourage everyone to keep on trying, to try different things, and not, if you have one bite and you're like, oh, that's gross, just, try to cook it or put it in, think about like, is there a specific dressing, or, like a dish that you like, like a, so what I make for my partner, for instance, is he likes basically the kind of, it's kind of an African type dish where you have the peanut sauce. So
Mm,
I basically make that, with chicken, and I add peanut butter, but then I put like a whole bunch of frozen veggies in it, like mixed veggies. And then it's within that, he has the sauce, and he has the chicken taste, and he has but then he has the veggies as well, and he eats them. So,
yeah.
just think about like what type of sauce or kind of dish you like, and are you able to actually, put vegetables in there. And I think that also works well for kids who are like, nah, I don't want to eat this. So
Mm-hmm.
it's sometimes about the consistency, or not seeing those things, or like, you know making a tomato sauce and adding, and onions and carrots, and you can add some spinach or,
Mushrooms. Yes.
yeah, and broccoli. And if you're like, oh my God, all these vegetables, then blend it all up and it looks like tomato sauce. And then but it actually has, all
Oh,
these
that's
wonderful
great.
things that you're not seeing. So
Yeah, no, I think that's an amazing tip. And tip for them, for people that's listening to think about it. Our palate changes. So maybe something that you tried 10 years ago and you were like, that's gross. If you try it today, you might really like it. And I think
definitely, yeah.
and I think we forget about that because it is so true. Like whatever you really like long time ago when you were a kid, when you try it today, it tastes different. You
Yes.
might still really like it, or you might be like, oh, I don't remember it this way. So I think that's a really key point to keep in mind that, when it comes to trying and you were like, nah, I hate cabbage. I don't like this or that. Uh, Try it today. Try in a month. Because you might actually now love it and you don't even know. So I think, yeah.
Yeah, or try making a dip or something with it that will actually
Mm-hmm.
make you enjoy, eating it.
Yeah. No, I think it's just fascinating. I mean, I love food. I don't have that problem in life. I
Yeah, I
love
can tell.
vegetables. I love everything. And, if I haven't tried a vegetable, I'm like, oh, I've never seen this. I'm gonna go ahead and try this. So just be excited about food. That's the one thing, the one activity that we will do until we die. So why not enjoy it and keep on trying different amazing dishes, amazing vegetables, anything that you have not tried, go ahead and try it. That's just like the gift that we have as humans in this planet. You can go and try as many things as you want. So I think it's just
Yeah, definitely.
fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I think this conversation has been amazing. Is there anything else that you would like to tell us before we go?
No, I don't think so. No.
If anyone wants to get in touch with you, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram at Marieke Steen.
Hmm.
Or I have my website as well. And I have a Facebook page. So it's all my website is mariekesteen.com. So
Hmm.
maybe we can put that in the notes because I appreciate people might be having problems writing that, spelling that out correctly. So, and on my website, you basically can find everything. I do have a cookbook actually. I have a hormone quiz and some other like free resources that can all be found on my website. So that's probably the best way to start. And I have a blog with also, where I talk about like this tons of articles about the fiber and gut health and
Hmm.
probiotics and prebiotics and postbiotics. So if anyone's interested, then definitely check that out.
Yes, yes. I will put all your information in the show notes for anyone that wants to get in contact with you, work with you, or that they have more questions about the gut and foods
Yeah,
and
sure. I love
recipes
to talk
and all
about that
that.
stuff. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Yes, I will definitely do that. And for everybody that's listening, if you want to know more about me, you can find me on alexbalgood.com. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, pretty much everywhere. Also, remember, if you haven't grabbed a copy of my book, you can find it on Amazon's and Barnes and Nobles. It's called Parents Are Greatest Teachers. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for connecting with us today.
My
And
pleasure. It was
please,
so much fun.
yeah, it was really good. And please, everybody, have an amazing and blessed day.